The lights of Vegas were always bright. They were bright and they were loud. Everything was big there, the stages were huge, the crowds were massive, and the shows, well, they were spectacles. And Elvis was the king of that spectacle. He wore the jumpsuits, he had the band. He had the moves. He put on a show like no one else. People came from everywhere to see him. They came to see the rock and roll legend. They came to see the guy who shook up the world. But in the middle of all that flash, in the heart of the show, he would sometimes do something different. He would slow things down, he would strip back some of the showmanship, he would sing a song that wasn't about love lost or fast cars. It wasn't about breaking hearts or breaking rules, it was a gospel song. And not just any gospel song. It was that one, the big one. The one that spoke of something vast and powerful. The one that felt like a prayer. Why that song? Why did he pick it for his Vegas stage? It's a good question, and there are a lot of reasons. It wasn't just a random choice. It wasn't just another song on the set list. It was something deeper. It was a piece of him, and it was a window into who he really was underneath all the glitter and the fame. Think about Elvis. He grew up in the South. He grew up poor. He grew up with the church. Gospel music wasn't just a genre to him. It was the soundtrack to his childhood. It was in his bones. Before he ever picked up a guitar to sing rock and roll, he was singing hymns. He was singing in church. He was listening to gospel quartets on the radio. This music was his foundation. It was his comfort. It was his first love, musically speaking. Even when he became the biggest star in the world, the gospel never left him. He'd be on tour after a show and he'd gather his guys. They'd sing gospel songs late into the night. Just for themselves. No audience, no pressure, just pure joy and connection. It was his escape. It was his grounding. It was where he felt most at home. He recorded gospel albums. He won Grammys for them. It wasn't a side project for him. It was central to his identity. So bringing gospel to Vegas wasn't a surprise. People knew he loved it, but choosing that specific song, that's what's interesting. It wasn't a simple folksy hymn. It wasn't a raucous call and response spiritual. It was something majestic. It was grand. It was epic. And that fit the Vegas stage in a strange, beautiful way. Vegas was all about grandeur. It was about spectacle. And this song had its own kind of grandeur. It spoke of mountains and valleys. It spoke of stars and thunder. It spoke of creation itself. It was a song that painted a huge picture. It was a song that filled the room. And Elvis had the voice to fill that room too. His voice could be tender. His voice could be powerful. And with this song, he used every bit of that range. You know, he could sing the quiet parts with such tenderness. And then he could open up and let that big, rich baritone soar. It was breathtaking. He wasn't just singing the words, he was living them. You could see it in his face. You could hear it in his voice. There was a sincerity there that cut through everything else. In a place known for illusion, for artifice, this song was real. It was honest. It was truly him. Think about the atmosphere in those Vegas shows. It was electric. People were screaming, they were dancing, they were having a good time. And then he would introduce this song. Sometimes he would talk about his faith a little. Sometimes he would just say, "This is one of my favorites." And the mood would shift. A hush would fall over the room. People would sit a little straighter. They would listen. It was a moment of reverence. It was a moment of peace. He would often stand still for it. He wouldn't do the karate kicks. He wouldn't swing the microphone. He would just stand there. And he would sing. His hands might be clasped, or he might just be holding the mic. But his focus was absolute. He was lost in the song, and the audience was lost with him. It created a powerful bond. It showed a different side of the king. It showed his soul. The lyrics of this song are powerful. They talk about looking at the world around you. They talk about seeing the beauty of nature, the trees, the mountains, the oceans. And then they connect that beauty to something higher, something divine. It's a universal message. You don't have to be religious to appreciate the wonder of the world. You don't have to believe in a specific way to feel awe. This song captures that feeling. It puts it into words and music. And Elvis, he tapped into that universal feeling. He made it his own. He wasn't preaching, he was sharing. He was expressing his own wonder, his own gratitude, and that's why it resonated so deeply with so many people. It wasn't just for the churchgoers. It was for everyone who had ever looked up at the stars and felt small, or looked at a sunset and felt a sense of peace. His life was so chaotic, it was full of demands, full of pressure, full of loneliness, even in a crowd. He was constantly on display. He was constantly performing. And this song, it felt like a moment where he could just be. He could be the boy from Tupelo. He could be the man who found solace in faith. He could be himself. It was almost like a cleansing, a moment of spiritual reflection in the middle of the glitz. It was a reminder that there was more to life than fame and fortune, more than screaming fans and flashing cameras. There was something bigger, something eternal, and he wanted to share that reminder with his audience. Other gospel songs might have felt too personal for such a big stage, or too specific. But this one has a vastness to it. It has an expansiveness. It feels like it belongs in a stadium. It feels like it belongs in a concert hall. It takes up space, and Elvis had the voice and the presence to make it take up that space. He didn't just sing it, he performed it, yes, but not in the flashy way. He performed it with his heart. He poured himself into it. Every note, every word. It was a testimony, it was a declaration. And you could feel it. The raw emotion, the deep conviction. It was all there. Imagine sitting in that audience, you've been hearing him belt out rock and roll. You've been watching him move, you've been caught up in the excitement. And then he starts this song. The music begins slowly. It's building. It's powerful. And his voice comes in, softly at first, full of reverence. And then as the song progresses, as it reaches those big sweeping choruses, his voice just opens up. It becomes this mighty instrument. It fills every corner of the room. It washes over you. It was an experience. It wasn't just a song. It was a moment, a sacred moment almost. And it was a moment he gave freely to his audience. He wasn't trying to convert anyone. He was just sharing a part of his soul, a part of what truly moved him, and he did it again and again. It became a staple of his Vegas shows. It was expected. People looked forward to it. They knew that in the middle of all the fun, there would be this moment of deep feeling. This moment of pure, unadulterated passion for something beyond the earthly. His connection to the song was so evident. It felt like he was singing his own story through its lyrics. A story of marveling at creation, a story of searching for meaning, a story of finding peace in a higher power. For a man who lived such a public and often turbulent life, this song offered a kind of solace. A public display of private faith. It was a way for him to reset, perhaps. To reconnect with something pure, something untainted by the pressures of stardom. When he sang that song, the image of Elvis, the superstar, faded for a moment. And in its place was Elvis the man who loved to sing gospel music, the man who believed. Many artists perform songs they don't fully connect with. They do it for the show, they do it for the audience, but with this song, with Elvis, it was different. It felt like he needed to sing it. It felt like it was necessary for him, like it fed something deep inside him. And when an artist performs from that place, it's powerful. It's undeniable. He had a natural, intuitive understanding of gospel music. He didn't just sing it, he felt it. He interpreted it with an authenticity that few could match. And this particular song, with its soaring melody and its profound lyrics, allowed him to showcase that authenticity like almost no other. It allowed him to strip away the pretense and just be real. Think about the sheer scale of the song's narrative. It starts with a simple observation of the world. "O Lord my God, what an awesome wonder." It's a personal reflection, but then it grows, it expands, it encompasses the universe. "The worlds thy hands have made, the stars, the rolling thunder." It's an exploration of the divine through creation. And Elvis, he had that ability to make something intimate feel universal, to make a personal prayer feel like a shared experience. He brought that raw, visceral energy he had for rock and roll to his gospel performances, but channeled it differently. It wasn't about rebellion or sensuality, it was about reverence and awe. The same powerful voice that could make women swoon could also move people to tears with a gospel hymn. It showed the incredible versatility of his talent, but more than that, it showed the incredible depth of his spirit. And it wasn't just his singing, it was the way he embodied the song, the way his face would soften, the way his eyes would sometimes close, as if in private devotion. He wasn't putting on an act. He was genuinely touched by the words. He was genuinely expressing something profound. This song gave him a different kind of power on stage. It wasn't the power of a rock star commanding attention. It was the power of a human being connecting with something sacred, and that power is often far more moving. It touches a different part of the human spirit. It leaves a different kind of lasting impression. For many fans, those gospel moments in his Vegas shows were among the most memorable. They were the moments when they felt they truly saw Elvis. Not the icon, but the man. The man who loved his mama. The man who loved his God. The man who found comfort and strength in music that spoke of bigger things. So showed his bravery. To stand on a Vegas stage, surrounded by all that excess, and sing a song of such humble and profound faith, that takes courage. It takes a willingness to be vulnerable, to lay bare a part of yourself that might not fit the rock and roll image. But for Elvis, it was essential. It was non-negotiable. He had to sing it. He had to share it. The song itself has such a strong, enduring melody. It's recognizable, it's stirring, and it lends itself perfectly to a powerful vocal performance. It has those moments of quiet reflection and then those huge anthemic crescendo. It's built for a voice like Elvis's, a voice that could handle both the delicacy and the force required. He could sustain those long notes, he could give full expression to those emotional peaks. He could make the song truly soar. Think about the context of his later career. The pressures were immense. His life was complicated, and yet, when he sang this song, it felt like a moment of clarity, a moment of purity. It was a tether to something constant and unchanging in his turbulent world. It was a reminder of where he came from, a reminder of what truly mattered to him. It's easy to get lost in the showmanship, in the legend of Elvis, but this song, it pulls you back. It reminds you that he was a human being with a deep spiritual side, a human being who found meaning and comfort in his faith. And he wasn't afraid to share that with the world, even from the most glamorous stage imaginable. It's also a song that transcends specific denominations. It's about a universal feeling of awe and gratitude for existence. It's about recognizing the majesty of the world and attributing it to a creator. That broad appeal made it perfect for a diverse Vegas audience. It wasn't exclusionary. It was inclusive. Everyone could find something in it to connect with, whether they called it God or nature or simply wonder. He didn't need elaborate staging for this song. He didn't need flashy lights. The song itself was the spectacle. His voice was the spectacle. His sincerity was the spectacle. And that's often the most powerful kind of performance, the one that relies purely on the artistry and the emotional connection. He gave everything to his performances. He left it all on the stage, and when he sang this song, he poured every ounce of his being into it. It was more than entertainment. It was an offering, a gift, and the audience, they felt that. They responded to it. They were moved by it. It speaks volumes about the man. It speaks about his character. It speaks about his heart. He could have just stuck to the hits. He could have just given the crowd what they expected from the Rock and Roll King, but he chose to give them something more, something deeper, something that was profoundly meaningful to him. And that choice, that willingness to be vulnerable and sincere, is what made these performances so unforgettable. He understood the power of music. He understood how it could transport people, how it could heal, how it could connect. And this song, it had all of those powers. It could lift people up. It could give them hope. It could remind them of beauty and majesty in a world that often felt harsh and cynical. And that's why, out of all the gospel songs he knew, all the hymns he sang in private, this one found its way onto the biggest stages. Because it was big enough, it was grand enough, it was universal enough. And it allowed the king to be, for a few precious minutes, simply a man singing a song of awe and wonder. The song is, of course, How Great Thou Art. It's a hymn that truly lets the singer's voice soar, and it perfectly captured the spiritual depth that was always a part of Elvis Presley, even in the glittering heart of Las Vegas.